This is going to be a very involved video, so bear with me while we go through this. I think you're going to get a kick out of this one.
Uber's plan to make profit, hidden in plain sight. We plan to turn a profit by paying drivers less. We plan to turn a profit by paying drivers less. We plan to turn a profit by paying drivers less. As we aim to reduce driver incentives to improve our financial performance, we expect driver dissatisfaction will generally increase. As we aim to reduce driver incentives to improve our financial performance, we expect driver dissatisfaction will generally increase. We plan to turn a profit by paying drivers less.
Y'all know what I represent. I've been walking around with this shirt on months, since last year, I think. I made this shirt last year, and let me show you the back of it so you know what I'm talking about. See, I've been representing this for a long time, and I'm glad the media and a lot of people out there are finally catching on to what I was saying. When I said these apps are ripping people off, they're paying off lawsuits. This is nothing but a giant racketeering scheme. It's a pyramid scheme.
In the early days, Uber used investment capital to subsidize driver pay and passenger fares. In the early days, Uber used investment capital to subsidize driver pay and passenger fares.
It's the amalgamation of a ton of work, and we plan to be profitable for, every quarter going forward.
We plan to turn a profit by paying drivers less.
They got all this money from all the investors, and I've said this before. They took all this money from all these people in the beginning, knowing they were getting involved in transportation. A tech company that was getting involved in transportation. It started getting out of hand.
Management said the profit came from diversifying into food delivery and freight.
Food delivery and freight, but they never mentioned Uber Health, not once. They said delivery and freight, because delivery and freight, you don't need trained individuals to do delivery and freight. But NEMT rides, non-emergency medical transportation. Hey, that right there, you need trained personnel. They never mention that, where all their money is coming from, taking American tax dollars, funneling them through Uber and Lyft. They never mention that. I'm telling y'all, pay attention. Now, once it started getting out of hand, they decided, hey, you know what? We're not going to turn a profit. How are we going to turn a profit at the current rate of us paying drivers to do what they supposed to do, drive, getting people to and from, paying for their vehicles while making a living? How are we going to get them to do that while we turn a profit? It's not possible.
Demands from investors have changed.
I think that the era of pricing, of fighting purely based on price is over, right? That was 3-4 years ago when it was just about volume, but investors now want profitable volume. And if the only thing you have to offer is a lower price, you're not offering much ultimately.
We might have to start using immigrants. We might have to start digging into some other, human resource pool to get workers to come over here and do this. We might have to start getting desperate people to do this work, because getting valuable people who value their lives in these streets, who value their equipment, who value making a living, having a home and a roof over their head, we can't keep using those people.
He found that Uber's profitability was easily explainable if you were willing to admit something unsaid in polite circles. Basically, Uber was charging consumers more and paying drivers less. The charging more was obvious. Like nearly every other company, Uber raised prices throughout the pandemic, way more than inflation. Fares are up 65% since Uber went public.
So how could the cost of transportation go up 65%, but driver pay never went up? Our pay went down. How can the cost of you getting this ride go up 65%, but the people actually doing the service go down? That doesn't make sense. We're going to run out of money. Next thing you know, all these media source companies and everything now want to come out saying, oh, yeah, Uber's destroying the economy. Uber's ripping people off now. Uber, I told y'all that. Now they got to pay off all these lawsuits now. Riders are out there paying all this money, and the first thing they think about is, man, transportation costs a lot. Man, I'm paying a lot for transportation is only costing you $13 out of this. That's what we're transportation. All your fees are going to tech. They're tech, they're not transportation.
There's a growing concern that Uber might be pushing drivers into a corner, offering drivers who skip the less lucrative fares fewer rides, which creates a race to the bottom.
Because Tristan doesn't have a car payment.
See, you could deal straight up with me as a driver, transportation, and pay way less than what you pay in tech. At least save yourself $10 or $15 on these long trips. Medium trips, you might save $5, $10, something like that. Short trips, you might end up paying the same, because short trips don't really make them a lot of money. It's the long ones that the nature hikes is what makes them money. So they're going to sit there and not pay drivers for the nature hikes, but they're going to charge these people as if transportation for these long costs that much for real. Like, okay, you're charging this person $130, but you're giving the driver $46. That's not transportation. They're paying off lawsuits. They're paying off investors. We've been saying this for a long time. Like I said, the 300, we've been ahead of the curve.
This isn't the first time that Uber has misled the public about their business. A whistleblower revealed that when Uber was expanding across Europe, praising the company, they then fed that research to journalists to support their cause.
You can't trust Uber's claims because they've too often been shown to be misleading the public. You can't trust Uber's claim. You can't trust Uber's claim. You can't trust Uber's claim.
This isn't the first time that Uber has misled the public about their business. They paid economists to produce research. They paid economists to produce research.
They've too often been shown to be misleading. They've too often been shown to be misleading.
And I'm just glad that other people stop calling us, you guys are nuts over there. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad they now are starting to say, you know what? Maybe you guys were onto something. Maybe all the shirts you were making about ripping off the economy, destroying it. Maybe those things really, you know what? You're probably right, Jeff. You're probably right. We used to laugh at you wearing them shirts. Oh, look at them talking about they ripping people off. Look at them talking about they destroying the economy. You know what? Maybe, Jeff, maybe you onto something. Like I said, some people are slow thinkers, and it's cool. We think fast over here. We talk fast. We act fast. I'm glad a lot of people are getting their business card together. Almost 2 years ago, I was telling people, get your business card together. When I drove the Jeep and that's all I had business cards. I'm glad people are starting to see themselves as transportation.
Uber and Lyft don't release detailed data around driver pay, prices, and take rates. Instead, they flood the airwaves with talking points that run counter to independent research and their own stated strategy.
I think, policymakers should treat it like a negotiation that's happening via the press, which I know is uncomfortable, rather than, a good faith response to public policy.
Uber is telling you that you're transportation. Uber says, oh, you're not tech, you're just transportation. You ain't got nothing to do with us. You don't represent us. We're tech. You don't represent us. You represent yourself. They tell you that in the addendums. So we go, if I represent myself, then I should be representing myself. Say that shit to yourself. If I represent myself, then I should be representing myself. Business cards, gear, out there speaking for yourself to riders. If the apps are telling you that you don't represent them, then who do you represent? You represent yourself. Stop being scared of you. Too many people are scared of themselves. I can't tell nobody I do rides. I gotta stay on the app, man. I can't tell nobody I do rides. I represent me. If somebody, even when I was in college, hey, Jeff, man, can you drop us off at the bar? This is when I was in Iowa. You think I can't do that, bro. I don't got no commercial insurance. I can't take you out to the bar, man. I can't drop you off at the mall. I can't take you to your friend's house, man. I ain't got commercial insurance. Been doing this shit since I was a kid. And now you got all these people out here who are so appified in the brain. You can't take your friends nowhere. You can't even drive your family around if your family giving you money. If your family giving you money, that's a business ride. You need commercial insurance to take your family places. This is what all these chickens are walking around saying right now. I can't deal with these people. I can't deal with them. This is common sense. These apps have misled people, have bamboozled and swindled you out of thinking that you can't let nobody in your car unless you got their app on your phone. This is how stupid it's gotten.
I don't trust what Uber says. They have too much of a track record of misleading the public for corporate gain. And drivers have a lot of information about how the platforms actually work. And we should give a lot more credence to what they say about what they're experiencing every day. These companies need our cities. Cities are where they make all of their money. They don't want to leave. Yes, they're throwing their weight around, but we as cities, as the public, as elected leaders, should throw our weight around as well to do what we need to do for our constituents.
And on that note, I'm out.
Because of a podcast.
I think your podcast has changed my life.
And I'm going to share this podcast with everyone I meet.